Hey guys, my name's Louis, I'm 27 years old and I'm from Bavaria, Germany. I'm a very sensitive person. I dream too big and I feel too much. And growing up, it's been so easy to become emotionally closed off. I often catch myself drifting into this kind of a numbness where I just feel I don't belong. But Ted gave and still gives me the strength to keep fighting for that vulnerable part of myself, even when it so often feels like a fight for a lost cause. I'll stay out here on this cold roof for a little longer, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that.
I'm alone, what a pity I won't be soon in New York City. When I see you, please permit me to tell you everything in New York City.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of How We Made Your Mother. I'm Josh Radnor. I played Ted Mosby on How I Met Your Mother every single episode from 2005 to 2013. Is that right?
14.
Yeah.
No, 13. Damn it.
13, yeah. And I am joined...
14. Sorry, Josh. It is definitely 14. It was 9 years. Here we go.
Jesus.
Good start.
Great start. Hi, Craig Thomas. I'm joined by Craig Thomas. He co-created the show with
Josh.
Carter Bays. Hi, Craig.
I'm disoriented, but happy to be here. I don't know what year it is.
We are joined today by a ray of sunshine is illuminating this Riverside studio space with us today. We have the very wonderful, endlessly entertaining and fun and delightful Ashley Williams, who played Victoria in 16 episodes. Is that right?
I think that's correct.
We can't count, but don't take our word for it. We don't even know how many seasons we did.
This is not we're not nailing the math this time. Hi, Ashley. Hi, welcome.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Craig. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I love the podcast.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's so cool to be now on a podcast that I'm genuinely a fan of. I'm really enjoying listening to the show. So
make us a quick commercial. What do you love about our podcast?
And by the way, stealth F you to every other podcast you've ever been on.
Oh, shoot. I gotta be careful.
You are the best. Ashley, she is the best of the best. The day is better when you see Ashley, when you experience just being anywhere near her, even on a computer screen. Thank you for being Victoria, and thank you for being here. We love you very much. I
love you guys. I'm so happy. It was a miraculous job back in the day, and the dividends continue.
Ashley, how do you, I know that was a TED-centered testimonial from our friend in Bavaria, but what's that like when you hear these testimonials about what the show means to people and how invested they continue to be after so many years?
You know what's so funny is like, you guys have said this before, and I know just from talking to you personally, like at the time, you know, we were newer actors in the industry, and I was like, oh my gosh, how did you get a pilot, Josh? Like, how did you know what I mean? Like, that was the majority of our initial conversations when we first got to know each other was like, I can't believe you're on this show. I can't believe it's picked up for 12.
Well, do you remember, I don't know if you remember where I met you. We talked about this, but I don't think you'll remember. I went to a taping of Good Morning Miami because I was friends with Mark Feuerstein. And I met you kind of briefly, but that's how I knew you because you were on that show. You remember that show.
That's fascinating. I do remember that show. But what was really interesting about that show, that was my first TV job out of college. I had only done a bunch of theater. Right. And Mark Feuerstein is one of the golden humans in my life.
Shout out to Mark, yes.
Shout out to Mark. And also it was an education in, you know, what I think is really common in sitcom culture, which is it's incredibly competitive amongst the writers to make sure that people's jokes are getting in, and tape night can go badly and tape night can go well, and it's stressful and the ratings are up and down. It's not, you know, I've now done a ton of different mediums in television, and the multicam medium had been an incredibly stressful medium for me to be thrown into right out of school. Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting that you came to a taping of Good Morning Miami because they were incredibly stressful times for me. And it's part of how, when I first started on the show, I first got the job. And I remember the audition so well. I remember booking it.
On How I Met Your Mother or Good Morning Miami?
No, on How I Met Your Mother. I remember it so well. And I remember coming in and being absolutely terrified of a multicam format. And I remember day one, you all setting the tone, which was this kind, all-inclusive, like, first thing out of the gate is we finished the table read and we all went straight to breakfast, and it was all under the guidance of Pam Fryman. Like, it was a very like, you're safe here, everything's okay kind of vibe, which I definitely did not trust. I was like, sure, we'll see what happens on tape night. It was like my mentality was like, well,
there's
we'll
no
see.
tape night. It's a tape 3 days, which you might not have known coming in. Yeah.
I didn't. And I also then was like, as soon as you were like, no, it's different around here, I was like, well, I'm definitely going to get fired after the network run through.
Oh, did you really feel that? Wow.
Oh, yeah, big time. Because that was the culture I came from on Good Morning Miami. People were replaced left and right after, table reads, after run throughs, all that. So in so many ways, the show was this healing salve for my soul,
for your multi-camera wounds. Yeah.
And that was the Good Morning Miami was like a live studio audience, like high pressure, like we have a big, that changes the vibe so much, I think.
I do have a very strong memory, Ashley, of watching James Burrows, who was directing, and watching him not watch the monitors, but snap his fingers. Like he was like a band leader. He was like pacing the show.
Which was such a great education in comedy, because he taught me about the musicality of serving up the joke and all of that, which I truly didn't. From theater, it was a little bit more organic, but this was serve it hard and land your jokes. And if you don't, somebody's going to come talk to you and be like, this is not working.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like I maybe you share this. I always love working with older actors because they have a level of like relaxation and not giving a shit that is so enviable when you're younger. You're like, how do you get to that place where you're just like so relaxed? The jokes, you don't look like you're trying. You look like you're just thinking about your sandwich you're going to have for lunch, and it's endlessly watchable and captivating. There's something about being a new actor, and especially, I think because we both went to theater school. You went to Carnegie. No, you went to BU, right?
I went to BU. My husband went to Carnegie Mellon. Yeah,
and I went to NYU, and I felt like I was trained for theater jobs. Like I knew how to get a script, I knew how to do the rehearsal, I knew how to be in the theater. They do not teach you how to be on a set of a TV show, of a movie. Like you are really thrown in the deep end. Like I remember Andre Brower came and talked to us, and he's like, do you know what the tape on the floor means? Like there's such a language of a set that you have to figure out. Yeah. And if you're good enough to get cast, or you're lucky enough to get cast, and often both, you are really thrown into you're just like tossed off the boat, and you're like, you better learn how to swim, but you have to really pay attention.
Yeah, I also think like for those of us trained in theater, which truly I thought I was going to be doing regional theater in Ashland, Oregon for the rest of my agent was like, come for pilot season. And I was like, it's not going to go well. And suddenly I'm on After Friends and Before Seinfeld in a sitcom, and it's theater, but it's taped. And I'm still confused. Like, who am I playing for? Where's the, how big do I go? The camera's right here, but the audience is over here. Can they hear me? Like, and working out levels is so much of what you're trying to figure out in a multicam setting. That was my issue, was like, how big, how broad, how subtle, though they literally can't even hear me, as opposed to in a single cam format, it's a little bit more sort of organic, and you can try it again. And,
my experience of going to multicam tapings, and I've been to a bunch in my life. It's funny because I was on this famous multicam show, but I haven't even been to that many multicam traditional tapings. But my experience was always, this is hilarious, right? It's like really fun. It's really, the writers throw in changes and the audience gets excited. They're pumping the audience full of candy and sugar to keep them, alert for 3.5 hours. And when I would watch the same episode on the air, I would be like, they seem cranked up. They seem amped up in a way that they didn't quite seem. And I always thought there was something about us, we've talked about this. And we talked about this with Kobe. Like the crew would laugh once, maybe chuckle on the second, take. But you were not playing for laughs on How I Met Your Mother. You had to know where the laughs were, but you had to trust that the material was funny enough that in the absence of the immediate feedback, you would still be able to find your way. The jokes would make sense. The plot would make sense. There was just something about, I think it kept us a little more honest, not to have that audience like. And I agree with you. Like, who am I playing for? Like, I sometimes feel like actors get jacked up and they play for the audience, but you've really got to play for the camera.
And I wrote you this little ditty to sing to you in New York City.
We'll be right back. Craig, can you feel it?
I can feel it. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm just going to say yes.
Yeah, but you can feel it. Summer's approaching. Can you feel summer on its way?
Oh my God, it's so here. It's almost here. It's basically already here.
It's almost time for you to exodus out of here and get to your summer spot.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I have become a migrating bird. My family and I wanted to buy a place up in the Berkshires on a lake. And we went and saw a beautiful place, and we fell in love with this house, and we bought this house. It's on a lake in the country, in the woods, and it's just like, it's our happy place. And yeah, that's where we spend the summers now. And we're up there like 3 months. We're up there.
And it just sits there when you're not there. And you're just losing money every single day.
Wait a second.
You could be hosting on Airbnb.
You just trapped me. You made me walk right into that. I usually do that to you, and you've turned it around on me judo style. But yes, I'm letting it just go to waste. I'm doing nothing with the house. I'm just going to be brutally honest.
Let me tell you this. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. Craig, one of my favorite tweets. Hey, do we still call them tweets? Like, is it?
It was a tweet when you read it.
I was a tweet when I read it. And it said, why do people always say New York City smells like pee and never my pee smells like the greatest city in the world?
You know why? Because pee doesn't have a good adage. There's not a good marketing campaign for pee itself.
No.
Until now.
Now. That's right. But we're not talking about human pee. I think they're talking about human pee, but we're talking about cat
I'd rather talk about cat pee. Just while we're here, I made the time.
But it gets in the way of those beautiful smells of spring that we've talked about. It really does.
Gets in the way. Look, here's the thing. Pretty litter, right? Are you with me? Pretty litter. If you've got a cat, get pretty litter. That's the quick version. You can fast forward at this point if you want.
I'm
but
responding
I'm gonna keep
in agreement.
Yeah, pretty litter gives you peace of mind. It changes color. This is my favorite part of pretty litter. It changes color to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in my cat. I don't have a cat. It's Schrodinger's cat, really. Like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. I both have and don't have a cat, Josh.
Yeah.
And now I'm reading Josh's lines.
No. I want to pop. You missed something so important.
Okay.
Pretty Litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture. It's ultra absorbent. It's lightweight, low dust, and one 6-pound bag works for up to a month.
Oh my God. I can't believe I skipped non-clumping because that is our favorite hyphenated word that we've gotten to discover through our relationship with Pretty Litter. Guys, it helps keep your house smelling fresh and clean. Try it and you'll love it. Go to prettylitter.com/HWMYM. Those letters stand for How We Made Your Mother to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/HWMYM to save 20% on your first order, free cat toy. I'm going to keep saying that apparently. No, I'm not. prettylitter.com/HIMYM. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Non-clumping.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah, and did you actually, like, coming into HIMYM, once you realized what it was, that it was like this little 3-day movie shoot and you didn't have to play to the back row of the bleachers, did that change the game of what you did? Like, for example, we'll just say this because we haven't said this yet. We're going to talk about kind of Victoria's whole arc on the show with Ashley today, and also touch a little bit on Zip, 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 because that's kind of ostensibly the episode we're talking about, but we're kind of going to mix it all together for everybody. There may be a couple spoilers. You might jump ahead in Victoria's arc, so just know that, audience. But back to Ashley. Okay, so I'm thinking of, like, in Drumroll, Please, just to jump into that one, the smallness of your and Josh's scenes together. They're very intimate, like, and the two of you on that piano bench, and Ted is playing piano, and you guys are really connecting and really flirting, but it's small and intimate. And if that was in front of a live studio audience, there would be a temptation to play it a totally different way. And something about your guys' connectivity in that scene, and many other scenes like it in that episode and others, like, is that kind of impossible to do in that sort of like amped up setting of the live studio audience? And did you feel that difference of being on HIMYM?
So here's where I bring in my only audience member on How I Met Your Mother was Pam. I was just doing the play for her. And she was very strict about like, like, whoa. Like don't reek of desperation here, Ashley, and
Oh, interesting.
it really helped me to contain, and keep it really real and grounded. That for me, that was all her. And I had weirdly, I think she was doing.
That's our director, Pam Fryman, by the way.
Pam Fryman.
Who's
Yeah,
magic, just like Ashley.
She's magic. But she was doing another show when I was doing Good Morning Miami, and I kept seeing her and being like, I'm scared, this is hard. And she would sort of counsel me in the parking lot, about being on this multicam that I was on. And so having her there, and I trusted her implicitly, and she really grounded me. So for me, it was all about her. What about you, Josh?
Well, I'm thinking back to Drumroll, please, and I just remember it felt like a film. Like it felt like a film, and I know it was kind of structured to be. I mean, it was a little bit. It's the traditional nonlinear kind of fractured narrative, but at the same time, if you bookend all our scenes together, it had that kind of Richard Linklater before sunrise, before sunset quality of like two people discovering each other and the audience getting to watch you discover them. I do remember, I love that last scene with us where I come in and my bow tie's untied and it just looks like the wedding's already over. We've just been wandering through ballrooms and stuff for so long. And that, where you kind of have me close my eyes and Victoria has Ted close his eyes and you're gone. You're like poof, gone. I remember our almost kiss and I don't know, it felt incredibly intimate. It felt like this is not an average sitcom. Like it had this elevated cinematic quality to it, which I remember. I felt like by that point we were really dropped into the tone of the episode. Like this is what we're making. And then, to get into like a little bit zip, although we can talk forever about Drumroll, but in that episode, we became a little bit more of a sitcom couple. We were like being held up to, we were celebrated and lionized in Drumroll for our romanticism, and we were somewhat ridiculed in the next one, right?
Yeah.
Because it was.
I'd like to issue a public apology to you both for that.
Well, no, it was because it was seen through Marshall and Lily's eyes. That was part of the thing. It was like when you watch a couple in love, if you're a couple canoes down the river on your relationship, you kind of you're both jealous and disgusted all at the same time of the couple. So we were kind of, we were the sacrificial lambs in that episode. And I think we had to, crank it back to a little bit of a more of a sitcom style. But Drumroll, and especially even the end, there's so much like soaring romanticism about it. I think it's a great example of what How I Met Your Mother, I think, does best.
It's magic, that episode. I mean, that you guys in that episode, it is a romantic comedy. It feels like a movie. It feels like a movie in 22 minutes. And that's a really special one. That's some people's favorite episode of the entire series, including Pam Fryman. I think Pam would say that's way up there, if not the one for her.
She called us into, I think, your trailer after Drumroll Please had been edited together. And she was like, I need both of you to come and sit down and watch this. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
That's so sweet.
You remember that?
I never knew that.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to watch myself. I'm going to hate this. And she was like, I don't care. Like, I want you to just see this, just watch this and just understand the tone of what you guys did and what you created.
Yeah. Pam had an incredible ability to make you feel like you were on the right track. Like it's like what Ashley's describing on early experiences. Like, it's so uncomfortable to feel like I'm not getting this. I'm not what they're looking for. I'm not. And Pam does the opposite. She makes you feel like you can't make a wrong turn. And if you do, we're going to redirect you, but with like this loving hand.
I think that's safety. She's just a safety person. She makes you feel safe.
She just creates conditions where you can do your best work and you feel the most free. And it's not like coddling, and it's certainly not, she's not like telling you it's great when it's not great. You know what I mean? Like, she's really honest. But Yeah, she just creates conditions. And then when, I mean, her thing of like wanting us to see it, I think was a little bit like, you should trust what you're doing here. Like, trust us, trust Sue in the editing room, trust Crowder and Craig.
Yeah, I think it's because of what you were saying about Good Morning Miami, Ashley. Like, she was showing you this intimacy can work. This can be this small and sweet and real and be very funny and totally play. So just be confident in that. And I know with Zip, 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 we kind of then immediately undermined that after Drumroll, please, and made it the kind of like silly and ridiculous. It's sort of a silly, light, fun episode. It's very different in tone than Drumroll, certainly for you guys. And it's kind of more of Marshall and Lily's perspective on the two of you, on Ted and Victoria. But there would be more to come, like Cupcake. There's a lot. That episode, Cupcake, is about it's that moment in a relationship where we're like, it's too soon to define this much, but also I may leave in a few days for 2 years, so we have to. And that was like very human and real. And I think everybody has had a moment like that in some relationship in some way. And you guys played it very real and small. And like, we got to see the sort of Ted side of that story and the Victoria side of that story. And and again, felt very filmic. It felt like Richard Linklater, Before Sunrise, like Josh and I talk about all the time how much we love those movies. Like, did you realize you were sort of safe to keep doing that and that it worked once you saw Drumroll, Please? Like, did it take that moment, Pam showing you that, to feel like, oh yeah, this works on the show, I'm not gonna... you never seemed like you were worried about getting fired, by the way. You seemed very assured and calm.
I never
would
have thought that, Ashley.
I never would have thought
that. That might be where the acting comes in.
You're acting the whole time?
I specifically remember in the audition, I made a joke and I made you guys laugh.
Was I in your audition? Did I read with you? Yeah, no. I didn't think I did.
It was me and Pam and Carter, I think, because we knew it was such an important role and we all wanted to be there. Yeah.
It was the three of you. And by the way, I remember getting to the audition waiting room and there weren't that many people there. And I was like, and it was the first audition. It wasn't a callback. It wasn't like I don't even think it was a producer session. It was just an audition. Right. But it felt intimate. Like, it felt special. There's sometimes you show up and there's literally 100 people in front of you and you have to like send a text like, can someone let my dog out, you know?
I'm gonna be here all day.
Yeah, this felt special. And I remember I had just gotten this like very cool shirt. It was like this like neat top and it was like sparkly. It was whatever it was, 2005. So I don't know how cool it actually was, but I was proud of it. And I came in and either you or Carter said, I like your shirt. And I said,
they were saying hot top, bro.
Hot top,
probably,
bro.
But you can't say that. You can't say that to an actress.
No. Maybe you could have in 2005.
I guess.
But I said, thank you. It was really expensive. And you guys started laughing. And I was like,
that's funny.
It was like a nibble.
That.
It was like a nibble. Like, I was like, oh my God, they're picking up what I'm putting down. So much of the time you walk into an audition room and they're like, can you stop making jokes? We're
trying to make comedy. Stop joking.
Yeah, exactly. But you guys laughed and I was like, oh, like they're here. They're with me.
Yeah. And we were.
Yeah, and you were.
That's a great observation. I had that feeling at my audition too. Like, these are human beings who are in the room with me. Like, sometimes there is that glazed thing of like, oh, I can't do anything to puncture through whatever is the between me and this table. You know, like,
no.
But it's such a relief when you get in front of human beings who see you. It's like those are the jobs you get generally, or those are the jobs you get close on, or like,
get close. Yeah. But it was interesting because like I remember during this time, and going back to like your first initial question, I was deeply in the world of desperately trying to get a job when I booked How I Met Your Mother. And I had like, and it went on. I mean, I shot 13 pilots in a row as the lead. I mean, it just didn't stay. It was just every pilot season I was testing twice a week. I was just right in there and never really was able to claw my way into a secure job. And so much of what I was doing when I was on that set was like, oh my gosh, they did it. And I remember like cornering you, Josh, and being like, did you test? How many other test offers did you have? And how did it go? And is this scary? And are you okay? And I remember it was so much about like, are we going to be okay? Because you were also like, I don't know, like, I don't think many people are watching this show. It kind of feels like a little secret.
Not many of them would have aired by the time you were there, right? We were like still this new show. Who knew what was going to happen? Yeah. Like,
well, I was just going to say, I was on set the day that you guys got your back 9.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember that. Yeah. That's cool.
I think you're
a good luck
and
charm.
Carter may have known previously, but the cast didn't know. And I was there when you came in and made the announcement, and it was like such a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so, I'm so glad that you were part of that, because you were such a huge part of those back 9 episodes. Like that was right. I mean, that was your entry point was right then. It's like, that's so cool. I'm so glad you're a part of that.
It's also funny to think, Ashley, that you were turning to me as if I was some sort of resident expert on being on a show that lasted. Like, it was my first, I had everything that could have happened to me on a TV show except it being a long-running hit. Like, I got replaced on my first one. The second one was canceled. We shot 6, aired 3. The third one didn't get picked up. And then I did How I Met Your Mother, right? Mm-hmm. So I was new to the game of, oh, the network wants to keep us on the air. Like, that wasn't something I had any experience with, but I was a part of this thing that just kept working, you know?
Well, maybe that was why it was so interesting to me, because you and I were in the same place. I had done a couple shows, but
a little bit like the longer you've been at it, like William Goldman, the screenwriter of, you know, Princess Bride and all these other great things, but he said, no one knows anything. Like, famously, he said about Hollywood, like, no one knows anything. No one knows why something works, why something doesn't work. Something can have all the elements and not work. Another thing comes out of nowhere and it's just beloved and embraced and iconic. And I think that we were both in the midst of, like, how do you make this work? How do you get a thing going? And you were turning to us like, hey, you guys seem to have a thing going. How'd you do it? And we were like, we have no idea. We don't know. Like, I did all those, I did all those pilots with like the best of intentions. Like, I was really trying hard. I was doing my best. I was showing up, and this one just worked. So I have a question for you, actually. Like, one of the interesting things I think about doing a long-running show is the writers are figuring out who you are as you go. And they're also, we've talked a little bit about this, like, you have an idea, like for instance, Marshall was not written to be 6'4", but then Jason Segel gets cast and his height becomes a vein of comedy they can mine.
He was written to be 7 feet tall, but Jason was a little shorter than that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you came on and they had this idea for this character, and then you're affecting the writing as they go. They're tailoring this suit to you, but also you as an actor are opening up that new draft for the next episode, and you're like, oh, Victoria, she applied for a baking fellowship in Germany. Like, you're learning new things about who this person is. Do you remember that as like a thing of like kind of discovering it as you go?
Well, that's one of my favorite things about TV is, when I always feel like when I come into audition for a TV show, I'm going, all right, if you choose the Ashley Williams path, here's the path that you're going to get, like here's the little pockets that you can go into.
Right.
Like I remember I read in the script that I was tap dancing, and my husband, incredible tap dancer.
No way.
So
you're making this up.
Neil,
can you bring him in right now? Can he come? Can you get Neil?
That's
and he just
unbelievable.
he comes on camera right now.
Wait, let me see.
Oh, you're really doing it. I didn't. That was a joke. That was a joke. Neil's gonna hate me. Don't tell him it was my idea.
Okay, I won't.
I feel like you're doing a bit.
I think he might be in a meeting.
I feel like
swear to God, I'm not doing a bit. But he was really good at tap dancing, and I had to do the 2-time step. What's it called? Whatever it's called, where you bum. And I said to Neil, you have to teach me how to do this. And we were in this like tiny apartment in Santa Monica, and he's trying to freaking teach me how to do this, and I cannot get it right. He was trying to teach me for like an hour, over and over and over again. And finally he was like, you're gonna have to lean into the fact that you're terrible at this.
Yeah.
That's the Ashley Williams path. That's the Ashley Williams path. I'm terrible at this.
That's one of her. Oh my God.
This is my husband, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Neil, hi.
My husband. Neil, do you remember when you I had to tap dance on the episode of How I Met Your Mother, and you had to teach me how to tap dance, and you were like, you can't do it.
Yeah, it was not.
Can you show them how to?
No.
We feel like
He's not tap dancing right now.
she's making this up.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. But it is very good to see
He's
you.
an amazing tap dancer, like incredible.
He has the right
Neil,
answer.
I would have had the exact same response by.
I know. That's why I felt comfortable saying it, Josh. There's no chance in hell that you would have tap danced on a podcast with your wife. You would never.
She's not fucking with us, right? You actually are good.
I am actually really good, but I would never in a million years do it anywhere except for when she needed my help.
Yeah.
Very.
How'd you learn how to tap dance, Neil?
Crazy for you?
Oh, sure. Harry Grainer was on our show.
Oh yeah, he was the star. That's the part I played.
In high school.
I was like tap dancing my face off in high school.
This is crazy.
But when you were trying to teach me how to tap dance, and you said you're going to just have to lean into the comedy here because you're terrible
I'm
at
like,
this.
this is not going to look like you know
So
the
then
tap
I
dance.
came into to Carter and Craig, and I said, I have to put in, like, I don't really know how to tap dance.
And that was so funny.
Yeah, so that was...
Hi, everybody.
And this old man, he must admit he fell in love with you in New York City.
And now, commercials.
Craig, summer is upon us. Can you feel it?
It's 100 degrees out today, so yeah, I feel it.
You feel it?
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm a little too much feeling it.
Yeah. Well, when you get outside and you're strolling around and you're looking for your next air conditioning port to land at, I imagine you're listening to some music, some podcasts.
Yeah, I'm checking out this one where they talk about How I Met Your Mother all the time.
You're listening to, I hear, How We Made Your Mother.
Yeah, I think it's called that.
What's your earbud of choice for listening to How We Made Your Mother these days?
Raycon is my earbud of choice. It is we got to sample these because they're a lovely sponsor here on the podcast, and it was great. My inaugural phone call was to Alec Lev, our producer. We chatted, and then when I was done talking to Alec, I listened to some music as I was like fixing up the kitchen and stuff, and it was great. Yeah, I loved it.
Great. Well, if you want to be like Craig, and who doesn't, go to raycon.com/yourmother to get 15% off Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds. Right now, Raycon is offering 15% off their best-selling everyday earbuds only at buyraycon, RAYCON.com/yourmother. buyraycon.com/yourmother.
End of commercials. Back to show.
Josh, do you
Yeah.
remember when Neil had to do you remember do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Okay. So you sat me down one time and you said, Ashley, you said every time you kiss me.
Oh, shit. I do know what you're going to say. Go ahead. This is amazing. Go ahead.
He goes, every time you kiss me. Now, Neil and I had been together for 22 years. So we had only been together for like maybe a year or so when I got How I Met Your Mother. And I was absolutely obsessed and infatuated. Still am. But every time Josh and I had to kiss on the show, I was very careful to have like boundaries, right? So I remember being like, like every time we kissed, I would go like, like I had like hard. The only way I can describe it possibly is like hard lips.
Hard lips.
Hard lips Houlihan.
Hard lips Houlihan. R.I.P.
So one time Josh was like, hey, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, yeah, anything. He was like, you kind of like are like pushing me away with your mouth every time we I was like, are you serious? Oh no. And then I sat down with Neil to watch an episode, and Neil was like, this is a big problem.
Oh my God. Like he saw it?
Yeah, he totally saw it. And he was like, you have to stop. And then he sat with me on the couch and he was like, pretend I'm Josh.
I remember this.
And I went,
Oh my God. This is getting so weird right now, guys. This is getting so weird. Get
And
Neil
Neil's
back.
like,
Get him
now
back.
let me pretend you're Josh. Wait, so yes,
Oh my God.
I 100% remember this now. But I think what I was saying was, and it was very delicate what I was trying to do, which was to say,
how did you say this?
I think what I was saying was like, you're kissing me weird. Right? I think that's all I was saying. It was like, you're kissing me weird. And I'm participating in this. And I would love to create a safe space where you could relax. So I think what I had such a weird job. I had to be like, though I had to welcome actresses for 9 years that I would like either kiss or romance. And I had to be like a safe space for them. Like I wasn't, can you just be on the record? Like I was not a creepy, like,
Never.
Can you say the words?
Right.
Can you say
Never. And I became very good friends with Neil over
now
the years.
sign this
like
document.
Yeah. So
Yes,
I had to
Neil
be,
and Josh love each other. Yes.
I had to thread a very particular needle, which was, I'm not trying to get you to like shove your tongue down my throat or anything, but I would like you to feel free to relax into like a kiss that will feel like an actual kiss.
You know what's funny? People are gonna think Drumroll Please came out of this, and I just want to clarify, it did not. Drumroll Please was its own concept because that whole episode was about not quite kissing. It was not part of this. This is a totally separate discussion.
What if one of the DVD extras was Victoria saying, "Well, why don't you want kiss?" And Victoria says, "My lips go hard. my lips freeze up, and I'm not good at it." No, I do remember you telling me that you had a practice session with Neil.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah,
he was like, my God, my wife, she can't tap dance or kiss. What can she do?
And Neil is famously good at kissing, which we all like.
By the way, great kisser. Yeah, but no, I do want to commend you, Josh, for handling that so professionally. And you did. You always created an incredibly safe space.
Thank you.
And I think I just was I was nervous. You know, I was just nervous about being intimate.
I never noticed this for 1 second. Just to say that, I never noticed this. I sat in the edit room looking at these takes for a lot of episodes. So did Carter. Never once did we talk. This is completely news to me.
I mean, it was enough for me to literally sit her down and say, can we talk about this? I'm sure that I was nervous to say something, although
I'm sure
it's hard to be nervous around you. You're so open and welcoming. And, I mean, look, over the years, like, because I remember years later, you were giving me some like very strong advice on a relationship I was in. We don't have to go into it, but but there was someone I was dating who you kind of knew, and like I remember, I will say this: when there was a Victoria episode, I was always delighted to see you, like truly delighted. I found the set so fun when you were there, and just to kind of like, we would have our stories together, right? Generally, except in Cupcake when you were with the girls, but like. It was always so great when nothing was going on, just to like crash on the couch and just like sit around and catch up. And
we would chat but we would go deep real fast. Like it was immediately into like, and why is that your greatest fear? Like after like an egg burrito.
See, now that does sound like zip, zip, zip. Maybe there was some truth to it.
But I think also we both came from theater schools, and theater schools, they train you like go deep quick, like you've got to, it's what they call instamacy, right? Like you've got to really throw yourself in. And we were approximating like a really deep, quick relationship. And I felt like as actors, we had like a real deep, quick, easy chemistry with each other. I always felt that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always felt really at home with you, and really like it felt cozy. It always just felt very safe and very cozy.
It's not easy, Ashley, to come in and do what you did, which is come into this kind of cake that had baked itself so much. I'm going with a baking metaphor, not even on purpose, but it so fucking works. And it's hard to jump in and just be like, and now I'm the new kid in this kind of, it's like you came into the college semester halfway through the semester kind of, and immediately, to your credit, felt like you belonged. I said in another episode, and I want to make sure I say it while you're actually here, I wish it had been a 24-episode season so we could have added 2 more Victoria episodes. I feel like it was a bridge. We were a 22-episode season, and in later seasons we were 24. If we'd had 2 more, we would have had 2 more fun episodes with you that rather than like the arc we'd sort of booked you for and written and planned out. But did you like, was that hard? Was that hard to kind of parachute in and try to feel like part of the team? Because it seemed from the outside like you were immediately in and felt like part of the team.
That is, first of all, such a nice compliment. it was entirely because, and I say this as a person now, and this was not true at the time, but now I've been a guest star like 200 times. Like I've literally done 200 guest star episodes where I come in for just a couple little recurrings, little, a one-off or whatever. Like that's been my career,
Yeah.
So I am now I find it so second nature to show up on a set and immediately start learning people's names and listen very intently to like the culture and the subtext and kind of you smell it before you see it. You know what I mean? Like it's really like figuring it. It's really every set is completely different. And learning each set's culture is something that has really, it's taken a long time for me to really get good at. And now, interestingly enough, I'm now an episodic director, and I think it's one of my assets as an episodic director is I can come on and immediately go, oh, okay, so that guy's in charge. Oh, we're scared of her, and just immediately start picking up on all the cues. But I have to say, your set was really different than that because immediately, I remember my first day. So after Pam took us all to breakfast, then Allie took me through and gave me a tour of the entire stage. She was like, here's where all your dressing rooms, here's the dressing rooms, here's hair and makeup, here are all the different sets, and she showed me where the bathrooms were, where the turkey bacon was. Like, it was a very, she immediately, made me feel so at home. And it was a priority of the whole cast to do that. And that is not normally the case. Normally, a guest star, it feels like a threat to the cast. And I was not made to feel like that at all.
It's so true what you're saying. I haven't guest starred that much, but when I have, it's incredibly, it's beyond first day of school vibes. Like it is, you are because it's not everyone's first day of school. It's just your first day of school. So you're entering this ecosystem that really does have its own bylaws and its own language. And it's like you're a tourist. So I commend you for doing that 200 times. Like it's really a big thing. I don't love doing it, to be honest. I like having the thing where it's like, you come to my home, I don't like to come to yours,
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fun, but I also, I really love what we do. I think it is the most fun. So coming in and cracking how each set tells their story is just some of the most fun in the world but it all is the same.
I will say this, Ashley, this is just occurring to me, but this feels very true to me, is that, I was working, especially in the first season, I was nervous. I'm a good student. Like I wanted to do well. Right. But it's also like the role and acting generally requires a certain amount of looseness and risk and, acceptance of failure. And like, it's all going to be, and what I think you bring to a set, and this is why I think you've been so employable, is that I got the feeling like whenever you were on set, there's a little bit of a feeling underneath everything you do, which is like, can you believe we're getting away with this and that they're paying us to do this? Like there's a feeling of like this is insane that this is our career. Like this thing we just like doing as kids, we now get to do as adults.
And that's the best. It should feel that way.
And it reminded me that like, as this guy I know who passed away, but this guy Eviatar Frankel, who his kind of catchphrase was, "It's supposed to be fun." Remember, it's supposed to be fun. And I feel like whenever you were on set, it was a reminder to me, like it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Well, I remember when one of my first days with Pam, I was like, tell me, because again, like coming from the intense multicam world, I was like, tell me about these showrunners. Like, are they safe? Like, are they nice? What's going on with them?
They were talking about my shirt and casting. Do I have something to be worried about?
Yeah, well, I was just like, what do I have to be aware of? And Pam said, they just can't believe there's craft service. And that was such a great like line about you guys that really set the tone, I think, for everybody. But yeah, I agree, Josh, like getting any acting job, I feel like I'm like, I cannot believe we pulled this off. Like, how long before they come in and say, get the heck out of here, you crazy person. Who do you think you are? You know, but every day we get away with another day on set. I'm like, I can't believe they're not coming in and yelling at us and saying that we're, you know, ahead of our skis.
God, that is the best. That is the best description of what it means to stay curious and creative. That is what it is. How do we get to do this? How are we this lucky? And at its best, that's what art feels like. And you really do kind of exude that, Ashley. Like, even like when you come and you sing with us, Ashley comes and she sings for this fundraiser that's really important to my world and my family. It's sort of for my son. And she comes and sings and performs. And it just feels that way. Just you getting up and singing a song with us, it feels that way. Like it's, I love that. I love that. That's so precious.
When you first said, you know, Bowery Ballroom, what was it, years ago, I was like, I am not a singer, Craig. Like, I don't.
Or a tap dancer.
Or much of a kisser.
To anyone but Neil. Asterisk to anyone but Neil. Kisses the bejesus out of Neil.
But I just remember being like, I'm not going to turn down the opportunity as a quintessentially non-singer. Like, people say, oh, do you sing? And I say, I sing enthusiastically, but not well. And so getting to get up on stage at the Bowery Ballroom and being as untalented as a singer as I am, it's just too funny to me. Like, it's too funny.
You are a living yes and. You are a living, breathing yes and.
Oh, thanks.
Hey everyone, we had so much great Ashley Williams that we've actually made this one a two-parter, so come on back in about 3 days to hear part 2 of How We Met Ashley Williams. Let's roll the credits.
I am guilty. Please acquit me. All sins are forgiven in New York City.
How We Made Your Mother is hosted and executive produced by Josh Radnor and Craig Thomas. The show was produced by me, Alec Lev, and our co-producer is Doug Matica. Our audio producer and mixer is Alex Reeves at Point of Blue Studios, and our digital content producer, aka Gen Z Master, is Emily Blumberg. Artwork by John Morrow. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Our theme song is NYC by our own Josh Radnor, with additional music by Craig Thomas and Andrew Majewski. Special thanks to Lola Kennedy and Elliot Connors. Visit howwemadeyourmother.com to sign up for our Substack mailing list and for links to our social media. You can also click on the contact page to send us an email or a voice message. Your stories and questions are an important part of the show. Want some merch? Click on the store link or go to howyougetyourmerch.com. Subscribe to Josh Radnor's newsletters on Substack. Order Craig Thomas's debut novel at craigthomaswriter.com/novel. And you can subscribe to my Dead Fathers Society, also on Substack. To learn about how you make a difference, this show's ongoing campaign to raise money for congenital heart disease research, check out the Make a Difference tab at the top of our website. This episode was made possible by the support of Backyard Ventures. People will, in fact, dance.
The real question, it just hit me. Am I in love with you or just New York City?